Morning, Coach.
Good morning.
We'll get started right away with Ruben and then Zach.
Morning, Doug. I hope
Morning.
you're well. You had 9 guys who were out with illnesses over the weekend that coincided with the false positives from the lab in New Jersey. Were those 9 guys false positives? And more importantly, if something like that happens during the season on a Sunday, how would you handle it? And I guess, did you know when you went out to practice Sunday that if that's the case, that those guys were okay?
Well, yeah, 9 guys seems like a lot that we had out for illness. We have guys certainly out for other reasons, medical reasons as well, and guys that were resting. But it's where we are. It's what we're in, and it's something that we have to, as we've mentioned before, we continue to prepare, for those situations, and can't control it. Obviously the guys that when they do come back, they're obviously negative from a testing standpoint, which is positive for us. But listen, this is why we have the protocols in place, and the protocols have been working, and it catches players, it catches coaches if need be, and we make the necessary adjustments. But we're in a good place when it comes to that right now.
Okay, go ahead, Zach, and then Tim McManus.
Hey, good morning, Doug. Obviously, Dallas Goedert is a big part of the offense. Is the way you used 12 personnel last season and how much you used it, is that the template for this season, or can that package evolve and expand as a way to get Goedert more involved?
Yeah, it's definitely a big part of our offense. The 12 personnel with the 2 tight ends is something that we feature quite a bit. It's hard to tell exactly how the season is going to go. I mean, we could be more 11 personnel this year, or possibly even 13 a little bit. It just depends on the opponents that we're playing, each week, and the structure and how we, as an offense, are playing and guys, and it's just, I love having the 2 tight ends. I grew up with 2 tight ends in this sort of West Coast offense, when I was in Green Bay, and it's something that we're blessed to have these 2 guys in our system, and we'll continue to explore opportunities for both of them on the field at the same time.
Tim and then Dave. You're muted, Tim.
Apologize, Doug. I know you're not putting a timeline on Alshon, but could you give us an update on what he's able to do physically at this point, and is PUP in play for the season, or is that not a consideration?
Yeah, obviously won't get into those decisions right now, but he's working extremely hard. He's doing his on-land running. We've increased that. He's looking really good. He's feeling really good, and we're hoping to get him out there soon with the team at some point here in the near future. So I've been impressed with his workout, with his treatment, with his rehab, and we'll see here in the next couple of weeks. But obviously, as you mentioned, not going to put a timetable on him or make any decisions at this time.
Dave and then Jeff McClain.
Hey, Doug, we've already seen a couple injuries to the offensive line. You don't have Big V anymore. How's the depth there? Do you feel comfortable going into the season with what you have?
I do. Obviously we're in camp and things happen and injuries, and guys are going to miss a day or 2 here and there. And the other thing is with the new protocols and having to, basically release 10 guys prior to training camp, a couple of those guys were offensive linemen. So, we got to be smart. I've got to be smart with how we practice and the length of practice and keeping guys healthy. But I don't have a concern, at this time, obviously. We want to make sure guys are healthy and fresh, obviously, going into the season.
Jeff and then Les.
Doug, Rich Scangarella said yesterday that Carson Wentz had
All right, let's go to
a lot on his mechanics.
Hey,
can you hear me?
No, everything cut off after.
Yeah,
Rich
let's go to Les, and we'll try to come back to you, Jeff.
Hi, Doug. Speaking of the offensive line, as we were a minute ago, you got Dillard and you got Mailata at left tackle. Can you give me an assessment of where you think those guys are at this point? And is that a good situation for you, that left tackle, you think?
Yeah, I've been real impressed, obviously, with Dillard and his growth, obviously his strength and what he did this offseason coming into camp, mentally and physically prepared. He's done a really nice job for us. He has, really stepped in and embraced that role at left tackle. Mailata is doing some good things. He flashes from time to time. Again, keeping in mind that football's relatively new to him. He doesn't have a lot of game experience, obviously, outside of preseason games in the past, but is doing a really good job for us there at left tackle as well, and could potentially be someone that maybe could swing from left to right if need be.
Let's try Jeff again, and then Paul Domowitch.
All right, Doug, can you hear me?
I hear you now.
Okay. Rich Scangarella said yesterday that Carson had done a lot of work on his mechanics this offseason. What have you seen in that regard, and what is different about Carson's throwing motion?
Without being sarcastic, I wasn't with Carson in the offseason. I honestly don't know what they were working on. He works on a lot of different things. He works on his feet. He works on the mechanics of his arm motion. Head and eyes different. So listen, I wasn't at those workouts. I don't know. All I know is that he's come in stronger. He's come in the right frame of mind. He has. I can tell he's worked on his feet and getting his feet in great position to make strong, accurate throws, and things that every quarterback works on in the off season, particularly the summer leading up to camp.
Go ahead, Paul, and then Bo.
Yeah, Doug, I wanted to ask you about Adrian Killens. He's gotten a lot of snaps early on, mainly because you've had some guys that have been out. But I want to ask you about the way you've been using him. You've been kind of lining him up wide a lot, using him like you did Pumphrey that first camp. He didn't catch the ball a lot at UCF. Do you see him in that role though, in this league?
I do. I really obviously he's getting, as you mentioned, he's getting a lot more reps because of with Miles and being out right now, and then Boston being limited, in practice and making sure he's good and whatnot there. But AK has really come in. I tell you, I've been impressed from the standpoint of his knowledge and understanding. We've made him a running back. We've made him a receiver. We've put him in some tough situations. He's handled it extremely well, and he does a nice job as a receiver in that receiving role out of the backfield. He's got really good speed and quickness. That is definitely for a guy his size is beneficial. So I'm just looking forward to, again, it's unfortunate not having preseason games to be able to watch these young players play but just being able to see him in practice and what he can do and where he could possibly help us this season if that's the case.
Bo, and then Rob Motti.
Hey Doug, on guys like Quez Watkins and John Hightower. Is there a difference between them flashing in training camp to you being able to trust them in a game, and without preseason, what can they do to sort of build up that trust from you?
Yeah, obviously that's been been kind of a battle spot for us, at that receiver position. Those two guys kind of competing, as receivers. It is unfortunate again, as I mentioned, but we're making the most of it in these practices to put them in, positions to succeed. And quite honestly, if it's just the nature of where we are, and if one or both or none, but I guess if one or both are, up on say game day, then yeah, I'm going to trust them. We have to trust them, right? They're part of our 53. Maybe they're part of our active unit on game day, and we'll see. But I like where both of them are. They're making making progress each and every day. And it's an interesting battle as we come down to this last week of camp.
Rob, and then John McMullen.
Doug, the Lions canceled practice yesterday to protest and discuss the shooting of Jacob Blake. What did you think of the powerful statement that they made, and what kind of discussions are you having with your players, with team leaders about anything that they may want to do in the coming days and in the coming weeks?
Yeah, I think it's a great sign of unity, a sign of strength and support as a team. You know, obviously in these tragic situations, you know, our team continues conversation and dialogue. You know, that's something that we're going to continue to do. It's something we've agreed to do and continue to talk with our players quite a bit about. And you know, again, it's just where we are as a country, and you got to put football aside. This is human life, and this is about all our lives. And these guys have a, you know, they have a message, they have a platform, they have something that needs to be said. And so, you know, I'm here obviously to listen to their you know, their ideas and their comments and the things that they're dealing with every single day. And so for the Lions to do that and to show a sign of unity, I think is very powerful, you know, message, you know, in our society today.
We've got time for a couple more. So John and then Daniel Gallen.
Good morning, Doug. When we were talking to Rich yesterday, he had mentioned Carson was an elite processor, kind of compared him to Matt Ryan, pre-snap, post-snap. As somebody who's been with him, obviously, since day one here, how much has he improved? I think he was ahead of the curve, but how much has he improved in that aspect of the game over the years?
You know, Carson is Rich is right. He's not only a smart, quick thinker, but he's a deep thinker when it comes to football, and he does process things extremely well, extremely fast, and you know, obviously now that he's going into his 5th year with us and understanding our system, understanding our offense, things process even faster for him. And what I like where Carson is at is he's being able to take that knowledge of him, what he knows, and he's been able to communicate that to guys like Deshaun Jackson even and Alshon when he's out there watching practice, and even our young players, our young receivers and backs, tight ends, that you see him being able to translate that information and have conversation with these players, because, you know, it's so important that they're on the same page, right? You know, whatever the play is, run or pass, but Carson is mentally in a really good state right now, frame of mind, and you know, it's fun to be around guys like that, especially at your quarterback position.
Go ahead, Dan.
Hey, Doug. In the playoff game last year, you guys used the roster spot on Elijah Holyfield after bringing him in from the Panthers practice squad. After an off season with him and seeing him so far in camp, what has jumped out at you? What did you like about him back then, and how have you kind of seen that progress now?
Yeah, you know, obviously last year, needing you know, that running back position, needing a spot, you know, on practice squad, and being able to get him was you know, great for us. Again, unfortunate not to have an off season, OTAs, but I tell you, he's really you know, with the running back situation where we are, and Miles, you know, resting right now and getting healthy, it's allowed him, just like AK, to get more reps and get more time, and he's really taken advantage of his opportunity when he's out there in practice, and whether he's in the one huddle or the 2 huddle, you know, making the most. He's improved. You know, you watch him even in his pass blocking drills, you know, which are tough drills to, you know, for players to go through, because it's just one-on-one, but he's done a nice job there. He's done a nice job. He's carried over into the team setting, and been you know, been impressed with where he's at and how he's understanding our offense. He's learning. Obviously, he's asking great questions, you know, with Deuce and you know, having Darren Sproles out there too has been beneficial for all of our running backs. But you know, Elijah's done a nice job for us.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys.